Hi everyone, my name is Adeleke Samuel. In today's lesson, we'll be looking at the stop procedure. How do we do stop procedure in SQL 2019? This class is meant for a beginner, and if this is your first time of seeing how to do, if it's first time of learning how to do stop procedure, I think this video is good for you. Now, I'll quickly go to my table. I have one database here inside my SQL set up already, student score. And inside the database, I have series of table. I have a table called name TBL. Name TBL is a table we are going to be using for our stop procedure today. Stop procedure is very important in the SQL. I will give us just one out of so many reasons why we need to use stop procedure. Let me say I go to the query language, and I type this code. I say select star mean all from my table dbo dot name. I have the table and I execute this. Now, if you run a script like this, each time you run a script like this, database SQL management compile this each time to generate the script for us, which is good. But if you use stop procedure has been compiled already. It's just for you to call the name. It has been compiled very fast, just display the answer to you. So using stop procedure to save to call our information, even from the code, from the program, maybe you're using C sharp or any other language, is very reliable. And again, against the security. Now, let's look at stop procedure in detail now. If I close this down for now, and there is a column here, folder here called programmability. If I open it, you see stop procedure here. It is inside here. If I open it, I don't have any stop procedure. Inside this system stop procedure, we have so many lists of stop procedure there, but our scope today will not touch that. Let me right click on this folder and I click new and I say new stop procedure. Now, these are sample already made templates of how to generate a stop procedure, of how to do it. Microsoft will make this available for us, but it is good to master this. But we are going to start it from afresh, from scratch, to show us how to actually generate the stop procedure. All right, let me pick it up from the initial window query that I have open. I have this. Now, what of if I don't want to use this star and I want to actually indicate the name of the items that I want? I can pick the selected ones. I can pick everything depending on what I want whoever called the stop procedure to see. Now, this is a query. Now, I try to pick everything that I want. If I execute this, I'm still going to get what I need to get. Now, coming from this, now I copy this. Coming from here, let's go and set up how does our stop procedure look like. Okay, I click another query window from here, and I said create store. I'm creating stop procedure. I'm creating procedure. I just have to tell the system what I want to do. Now I type DBO. DBO is the name of the table, is the table owner. Now the dots that I'm putting there is my namespace. Meaning I'm talking to my local database namespace, and I give my stop procedure. I give it a name, the name I want to call my stop procedure. I always like to use the name of the table as a reference for me to easily identify what I'm doing. So I say get all. That's what I want to do. Now, I've watched many video online. I've seen many samples that people have done. I've seen people trying to use put underscore like this. Now, the reason why I will not want us to use an underscore like this is that immediately you put this, system will note it as a stop procedure that can be called by any database within the system. So I'm using it, writing this under student score. Any database again can actually call this and system will recognize it. So it's not ideal. Just remove the underscore like this. Let it remain like this. All right. So I have this. Then what follows is I have as begin. Then I have end. This is the just the fundamental. Now, if I put my previous code inside it like this, just like this, and I click on execute, I execute this code that's been compiled like that, compile to the system. So easily, anytime I have to call this name, I can easily call this name and system will identify it and the display will come very fast. Now let's see that. Let me open another window query to be able to load that for us. Let's say I have execute the name that I have before. Execute the name. If I now execute this, now you can see the same name detail that I have here. Checking from the previous one that I have, the same way I list all the parameter here, but with stop procedure, I just call the stop procedure name, and from that I'm able to generate all I need to generate very fast. Now it is well easy and well convenient, even if I don't want the user at the other hand to see all my field. Maybe I just want him to see the name and the field or the status alone. That is what the procedure will list. So it is very easy, very convenient to secure our table using stop procedure. All right, that's very good. Now moving on, I want to show us this. Now this is the results, and if you check on this message, we have 6 row affected. Of course, 6 row affected is it's part of the message that is sent when we execute our query. We don't want to have this because in the case in which you call your procedure, it will return these as well. So most often we always turn this off. Even if you check on the template, you see them putting set no count on. So set no count on is used to stop this count that we have here. If you execute your query after giving your results, it will set the count. So let's go back to our stop procedure and do an adjustment. Now I've done create here before. If I want to make adjustment on this, I'm going to change this to alter. I can now alter. Then I'll set my set no count on. I'll set it on. Then I can execute this again. So the system has identified that. So what I need to do is query window. Then I run the script again. Then I just did the run. I have the same result. But when I check the message, you can see I don't have the count again. So what I'm going to see returning back to me is success is a table, the result. That's what I'm going to returning back to me. Now it is very easy to create stop procedure like this. Now this is selecting all. What of in the case in which I actually want to get, maybe I want to get somebody, I want to get it by name. I want to use a name parameter to get a particular user. Now, how do we go about that? Now, I'm going to create a query window again. I want to get by name. Now, you create, You create your procedure, create procedure. Now, my procedure name, like I had before, DBO dot, I call my table, DBO dot, I call I give it a name. The name I want to give my stop procedure, I call it XP name, TBL underscore get by name. That's what I want to do. I want to get the person by name. Now, the fundamental I have begin. I'm going to begin. Then I'm going to ask. I'm going to begin. Then I'm going to end it now. So in between it now, I'm going to have my code written. Now I have so let me set no count on so that this can work properly this time around. No count on. I said no count on. All right, I just said no count on. Then now let me put my same scripts that I had before. I have select. I'm selecting. What am I selecting from the table? I'm selecting the ID. You can see the intelligent. I'm selecting the name. Again, I'm selecting the status. Selecting the status. Selecting the status. Then after the status, I'm selecting the row. All right, I've made selecting, though I'm selecting all of them from my table, and my table name is name TBL as the name of my table. Now I'm selecting all. Now, like I said, I want to get by name. I want to look for a particular name out of all this list here. That's what I want to display. I want to display out. So I need to assume that any name can come, any name at all. So I have to declare a variable that will help me to hold that name that is coming. I just declare a variable, and I need to specify what kind of variable. So I said is a non-virtual 50. That is what is coming. Now, this variable now, what I now need to do, I need to set it. So I'm going to say where name, this is the name from database, is equal to the variable I just declare. Now, the system will use the name that is coming to search the database and give me what I need. Now, I'm going to execute this. So successful. Now, then I'm now going to do a test to see if this is valid. So I'm going to do a test. I'm going to run a test from my side, and I'm going to create a new window query. From that new window query, I run the script. So I have execute dbl and the name of my table, which is get by name, get by name. So if I execute this now, let's see. Now the system is able to go and confirm that I have a name like this. So easily my system recognizes the name that I sent. Now let's say a case in which I just send any name that is not in the system. Will the system recognizes? No. So it will reply none. So it is easier. So when coming from the scripts, when coming from data from the programming side, or when query your database, you to use stop procedure to quickly display any variable that you want to display. Now, stop procedure, like I said, is very, very important. Now, moving on from here, we just did starting with one variable. In a case in which we want to now get by maybe one, two, or more variable. Let's say we want to get with more other variable. Now, this we did is just with name alone. Now, I'm not going to be editing this, but I want to create another procedure for that look like this. I just want to add another. variable to it. So let me say I now have get by name and row. I want to get by two things together, the name and row. So from here, I want to get by, I'm getting by name row. I, I put I put row. So I'm getting by name, I'm getting by row. Now I have a variable here. Let me add to this variable. I'm adding row, meaning that a variable is coming. So I'm going to declare what the variable is going to be, non-virtual 50. That is a row. So immediately the system see that row. So I need to put a comma on top here to differentiate them from themselves. Now, from what I have here, I've been able to get where the name. So I just need to include row is equal to at row that I have before, that I have declared here. So the system can now go and search with these two variables. So I need to uh, execute this. Of course, this is a new name. So if I'm re-executing on the same name, I have to alter. But this is a new name. I'm creating a new query stop procedure together. So if I execute this, this will skip through. It will verify. So now if I just do a copy of this name now, I will open a new query window. Now from the query window, I will type execute get by name and row. Now I'm getting by name and row. Now I know I have James Mark in the system, and I know that James Mark is an admin in the system. So let me do a test with that James Mark, and I click execute. Now it's able to display James Mark and the row. Now, peradventure, if I change this James Mark, I change it to a user. Do we have any James Mark that is a user in the system? Now, if we have something like that, the system will display it. Now, there's no James Mark that is a user. Now, the only James Mark that we have in the system is an admin. And we're able to have that. Now, these are some of the way we run stop procedure gradually. So let me show you how to create. I've done select, I've done get by. Yeah, still selecting. Now, in a case in which you want to do a delete, how do we run a delete in a stop procedure? I'll quickly show us that. How do we run a delete query using stop procedure? I do a create. I do a create procedure. Now, what do I want to do? So I have my table, sp, this is the name, xp cbl underscore delete, and fine. So what I want to do now, if you want to delete, you must delete with an information. Can't just delete, you just put delete. There must be a reason why you are deleting. So I'm deleting by ID. So if I select a particular person and I put his ID, I want the system to delete the person now. So from here now, I have the fundamental. I have has begin. Then I'm going to have a set no count. So I have to set no count. Set it on. So it's not do any count for me. Then I'll end. So then, okay, inside it now, I have a variable of an ID that is coming. So I declare the variable of my ID. I call it int. So then I'll write the query here. So I said delete. I'm deleting from I'm deleting from a table. I'm deleting from table dbo from that my table dot name table. I want to delete that. Uh delete it from me. So I need to specify where ID is equal to at id. All right. So whenever I supply this id, the system check and is able to see the id, it deletes that row. Usually I have some few error here. Okay, here I'm supposed to put a dot. Okay, I just put a dot there. So let me execute this now. If it work, okay, this worked successfully. Now whenever you call on this and you are able to supply the parameter that needed, system will look for it and it delete it. So with that you can do a delete. Now let me show us how to do and insert. Okay, this is very easy as well. So I'm going to insert, I'm going to create, like I used to do. You create your procedure, create your procedure, create my procedure, and I give my procedure a name. So I have dbo dot sp name. So tbl, what am I doing? I'm inserting. I want to do an insert. Now again, so I have as I have a begin, then I have end. Okay. All right. So I want to set I no count, set no count on. Okay. I just set no count on like that. Now I'm inserting into my table. Now, if we open up your table here, you see the column. After the column, you see the variables that your table has. Your ID is the primary key. You cannot insert into that one because you have set as a primary key and you have set the increment. So system owns that. So all I have now is the name, status, and row. So I'm going to be having insert. I'm going to be having insert. I'm inserting into DBO dot what's the name of my table, name tbl. So what are the variables that I want to insert? I want to insert name, I want to insert status, and I want to insert the row. All right, now what are the variables that I want to insert into it? What are the values that I want to insert into it? So I have to declare my value. Now how do we declare value? So I come here, I said knowing fully well that any value can actually come non-virtual non-virtual 50 non-virtual 50, put a comma at status. This as well, it's going to be non-virtual 50 as well, non-virtual 50, I put a comma. Let's see, I have another one again, row. I have the row, my row again is non-virtual, non-virtual, non-virtual 50 as well. I'm done with that. So then I can now call my variables here that I have. So the first variable I have there is at name. System going to bring it for me. Can intelligent. I have at row, at status. It must be the same way. Name followed by status. That is how I must have it from the intelligent is figuring out for me, then followed by the row the same way. I must not interchange it. So with this, I've been able to I've just finished setting up an insert. So I can insert with this name, I can insert into this my table. My value should be values, shouldn't be just single, it's just an s. So let me execute. Okay, now that I've done executing this, so I have my stop procedure for insert already done. Now I have this is still showing one here. All I need to do is to do a refresh. If I do a refresh, the system try to check everything that has been done. Now see all that have been, as I'm executing, the system is compiling it and is putting it there. Now the reason why it is very, so calling the name very easy, and by looking at the name, you know what the stop procedure is doing. That reason why it's always good to save with the name that is convenient for you to read. Convenient for you to read. So calling this is more preferable than you writing the raw script and you are copying. So to end this class, I'm going to do the last one that are very important. I have the code. I'm going to show us how the code work, and this will make it a complete form. Now you can do an insert, you can do a select by name, select by all. You can do a delete, and you can do an insert. Now this being the last one, you can do an update. I want to do an update. I want to update. I want to do an update to my table. This is my table here. I want to update my table. So I have. I want to update by ID. So I have the ID set up already here. Now, what I'm doing now is that this is I want to update the status. Somebody's status is confirmed, one is not confirmed. By the time you now want to confirm the non-confirm, you have to update the status so as to confirm. So this is the status that is coming. So I have the ID of the person and the status that I'm changing it to. So by the time I post, so I said update database, update dbo dot my database name and set status. This is status that I'm now that's coming now confirm, and where the ID, the user that I'm updating. So I have to indicate the user that I'm updating, so it will not go and update everybody. Now if I execute this now we can see it has been executed and it's well compiled. Now let me update here so I can show you everything from this side. Stop procedure. Now, with this short video, I've been able to show us how to run a stop procedure in Microsoft SQL 2019. Very easy to do, very convenient, and each time you have your developer, and instead of them coming directly to your tables to pick item, to communicate directly to your table, all you need to give to them is your stop procedure that has been able to that you have designed what and what you want them to see. Now, part of the reason why stop procedure is important is peradventure there are customers that have saved their credit card detail, their security number. Now, you don't want anybody to just see that at any time. That's the reason why we normally use stop procedure to streamline what a developer or what whoever see at each time. So use stop procedure. You enjoy using it. It guides against it's secure. It's a way of securing your database itself. Uh, Thank you so much. See me in the other video. Show us how to set up rules. There are rules to guide some of this thing we are doing. Thank you so much. My name is Adeleke Samuel.